Amazing ways animals prove they're smarter than they are. Everyone knows the stories about crows throwing rocks into glasses to gain access to the water inside. But did you know that there are many other animals that are more intelligent than you might imagine? Scientists have long considered the study of animal intelligence a challenge because comparing animals to humans, or even other animals, means that you can overlook some of the clever ways they have used to survive in their environment. The way animals have learned to adapt to their environment is incredible, and you might be surprised at how clever their problem solving really is. Do chimpanzees have a better memory than humans? The mental abilities of chimpanzees are relatively well known, which is why they are so often the subject of scientific research. One way to study chimpanzees' memory is to hide food under colored boxes in front of them. The animals were shown which boxes had food hidden under them, then they had to point to the boxes where there was food, and if there was food, they were rewarded with a yummy treat. After that, it was time to activate their memory. The boxes were hidden for 15 seconds, after which the chimpanzees had to point out again which boxes had food underneath them. On average, the chimpanzees were able to remember 4 items, and the best score was 7. That doesn't sound very impressive, but it turns out to be very similar to how humans do similar tasks. But the chimpanzee's memory doesn't stop there. The chimpanzee Ayumu surpassed humans in some cognitive tasks. 3 chimpanzees who were taught to place the digits from 1 to 9 in ascending order were shown these numbers in random order on a screen. Then after a short period of time the numbers were hidden behind white squares. When you clicked on a square, the digit would pop up, the others were hidden, and would hide behind the square again. The task of the test subjects was to reveal the digits in sequence from 1 to 9. People taking this test often made mistakes and could not remember the location of all the digits, but Ayumu had no problem with that, successfully memorizing the sequence of 9 digits. Elephants understand the power of teamwork. The fact that elephants are intelligent animals is no secret. Their brains are 3 times larger than a human's, which means they also have 3 times as many brain cells. In fact, elephants' mental abilities have been well studied, and there is evidence that they can learn to mimic, have compassion for, and even care for other elephants less fortunate than themselves. All of these characteristics are not often seen in the animal kingdom, as many animals care only for themselves. What's most interesting about elephants is that they can cooperate to achieve a goal. Researchers tested this by putting food in a box, and the only way elephants could get food was if 2 elephants pulled 2 different ropes at the same time. The elephants were able to do this, and, even more impressively, after the elephants realized that they needed to work together to achieve this goal, they didn't even try to pull the ropes unless there was a second elephant nearby. So if you ever need an auxiliary trunk, just find the nearest elephant. Parrots can do more than talk. Everyone knows that parrots can reproduce human language, but what is less well known is that some are believed to be able to understand what they are saying as well. The best example of this is Alex the parrot, an extremely intelligent bird whose name is an acronym for the English phrase avian language experiment. Alex was so clever that he could correctly answer the questions of a 6-year-old child, for which he was nicknamed Einstein among parrots. Alex could distinguish both colors and shapes, and answered questions about objects that were shown to him. He was able to identify different objects by name, as well as compare them using words such as more and less. When the researchers worked with other parrots, Alex often answered for them and asked the other parrots, "Say better." The researchers believed he had the emotional level of a 2-year-old child. Sadly, Alex died unexpectedly at the age of 31, but the researchers stated their belief that Alex had not reached his full potential. Dolphins can mimic human actions. This headline may sound a little strange. I wonder how an animal without arms and legs can imitate us, and that simple fact is exactly what makes it interesting. You've probably been to the zoo and seen chimpanzees imitate you or the people around you, but they have the right limbs to be able to do so. It turns out that dolphins can do this too, using their fins and tail to mimic what humans do. If a man swims on his back, a dolphin can copy him. If a man crosses his arms, a dolphin can mimic that with its fins, too. What is even more impressive is that dolphins' other senses are so developed that they can imitate human actions, even if they are blindfolded. Some birds can plan the future. The ability to plan for the future is what distinguishes humans from other animals. We can effectively choose long-term rewards over short-term ones, meaning we are more likely to choose actions that will benefit us in the future than those that will bring it right now. Birds of a certain species, the California bush jay, are also capable of this. Scientists made sure of this by allowing these birds to access and eat food, and then giving them time to stockpile food for the future. The birds could eat first so that their current emotional state, hunger, would not affect their decision to delay eating. They made food reserves for the next morning, demonstrating that they were not only thinking about the present, but were capable of making decisions that would benefit them in the future. Pigs know how to use a mirror. Using a mirror is often used to see if an animal can identify itself in the reflection, and surprisingly few animals are actually capable of doing so. If you have a pet, try putting it in front of a mirror and see how it reacts. Some may even get angry that another animal is in the house. Pigs are able to use mirrors for slightly more challenging tasks. The pigs were left indoors with the mirror for about 5 hours so they could get used to it and how it worked. Then a bowl of food was placed in a spot that the pigs could only see in the reflection of the mirror. Almost all of the pigs tested were able to find this food quickly. This is impressive because it means that not only were they able to identify the food in the reflection, but they were also able to use the mirror to recognize features of their surroundings and understand that it was a reflection of the real world. Pigs are some of the smartest animals. They can distinguish random scribbles from those they have seen before, as well as move the cursor around the monitor with their muzzle, so it should probably come as no surprise that they are able to use the mirror so effectively either. Dwarf chimpanzees can learn to communicate like chimpanzees. Bonobos, or pygmy chimpanzees, can also perform actions beyond what one would expect them to do. What makes pygmy chimpanzees particularly interesting is the wide range of skills some of them have been able to learn. Noteworthy is a dwarf chimpanzee named Kanzi, who has been able to learn sign language and symbols to communicate. Even more impressively, Kanzi was able to learn some of the gestures just by watching videos with another intelligent animal, Gorilla Koko. Using symbols, Kanzi can only communicate with researchers based on the symbols he has learned. However, Kanzi can not only communicate, he has also learned to sharpen stones to cut the ropes that allow him to access food. Kanzi, like other bonobos, has managed to learn how to cook using an oven without researchers showing or teaching them anything. This adds credence to the idea that animals can not only learn to cook, but can also delay eating for the sake of improving the quality of their food. It also suggests that animals can also use more advanced tools besides sticks and stones. Cows are born disciples. You may be surprised by the presence of a second farm animal on this list, especially the cow, an animal not known for its mental abilities. When you look at cows grazing in a field, they seem to just mindlessly wander and nibble the grass, and for the most part they do. But what may come as a surprise is that cows have social circles. They avoid cows who treat them badly and become friends with those who treat them well. An interesting discovery, because it shows that cows can actually understand more about social circles than some people do. Another surprising discovery related to cows is that when researchers reward cows with a treat for doing well at a task that is assigned to them, their heart rate increases and they become more energetic in their movements than when they are rewarded for nothing, for no reason. This means that cows, like humans, prefer to be rewarded for what they do rather than for nothing. Octopus mimicry. Octopuses are a little different from all the other animals on this list, mainly because they are invertebrates rather than mammals, but don't let that fact sway your opinion of them. In fact, octopuses are the smartest invertebrates so far. They know how to use their oddly shaped torso to solve problems in unique ways. For example, an octopus can hold onto a jar tightly and use its extremely flexible limbs to open it to eat its contents. It may not seem like it takes much intelligence, but it's important to remember that jars are made to be opened with the thumbs, which octopuses are not. But their intelligence is not limited to this, as mimicry octopuses can successfully mimic other animals to frighten predators. This means that if they see a creature, they can adapt their torso to resemble that creature. This skill requires both knowledge of their own torso and the ability to recognize what other creatures look like. Rat mazes. Everyone knows about rats and mazes. The classic experiment where you put some cheese on one edge of a maze and a rat on the other edge and watch it solve the problem. But did you know that this demonstrates a pretty high level of mental ability? To get to the cheese, rats have to process a large number of sensory signals around them and find their way through the confusing space. Even more surprisingly, like elephants, rats demonstrate altruism by helping other members of their species. So next time you see a rat, just remember that it might be rushing to the aid of a friend.